Hey freaks, how are you? Hope you're well. I'm just settling in right now. I just got back from picking up and delivering my mother from the hospital. Again, I've had a couple of weeks that I would like to forget. My mom's okay, by the way. But yeah, it's been a combination of events that I really don't want to ever revisit. It's been a weird couple of weeks, but I am settling in now and I'm going to do this video. I don't know. I feel like doing a video I'm just not sure what. I've got a stack of records in front of me and I was going to talk about any one of them, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling like talking about any of them. I felt like kind of doing one of those videos where I share my screen and talk about kind of a random generalized topic, like best covers of all time. I did a video last year. I think it was the worst album covers of all time. So I just thought, let's flip it and do something positive, I guess. Although plenty of these album covers, I'm sure, are going to be horrible. I feel like people who rate album covers as the best album covers they're very opinionated. They're very biased. They're only going to talk about albums they know, and they're only going to talk about albums they like because you associate albums you love with having great album covers. I have plenty of albums where the music's great and the covers are shit, and vice versa. The album covers are absolutely garbage, but then, wait, did I get that mixed up? You know what I mean. Good covers, bad music, bad covers, good music. Yeah. My brain's all over the place right now, but I'm going to try to focus and dial in here. Which one should I do? I don't know. Do I do Billboard? I just Googled it. So these are the top results. Rolling Stone. Do we want to look at that one? And that one might be fun because everyone knows what Rolling Stone is. I feel like I already know what they consider to be. I mean, they're going to pick Nirvana, Nevermind, right? Of course. If it's not number one, it'll be in the top five. That is a cool album cover. I mean, Nevermind is a very cool album cover, but they're going to associate it with. If Nevermind wasn't the album that it is, do you think they'd be rating it as one of the best album covers? I highly doubt it. Maybe it's not on the album cover list, but come on. It's Nirvana Nevermind. I mean, of course it's in there. Let's see, Indie Ground Design. That one looks kind of interesting, maybe. Um, let's see what else we got here. All right, so how about we take a peek? I'm going to skip Billboard. Yeah, I mean, just looking at this, well, Elvis, Public Enemy, Lana Del Rey, really? So already we're kind of getting into bizarre waters here. Let's Let me look at this indie ground design. Maybe there's something interesting here. Let's do it, people. What do you think? This came out just a couple months ago, so this is pretty up to date. Album covers are more than just packaging for music. They represent the artist's vision and capture the mood of the music. Could you say the word music a few more times in your opening paragraph? Here are some of the best album covers of all time, each one a piece of art in its own right. I'm a working writer, by the way. I mean, not really working, but I do freelance whenever I can get it. I'm a pretty fucking good writer, and when I read opening paragraphs like this, I just want to vomit. Like some asshole that works for Indie Ground has got a job over me when they write like this. Jesus, it's a sad world. Let's peruse through this really quick. Frank Sinatra, where are you? Yeah, that's a cool album cover. Yeah, it is. I will agree with that. Yep. Not bad. Not bad. Sorry, I just hit my volume inadvertently. Not bad at all. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. See, this will be in the top 10 of the Rolling Stones list for sure. How long is this list anyway? I don't know how long this goes on, but Sergeant Pepper's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've ever loved. I mean, I get why this is so iconic. It's just a really busy album cover. I've never been a fan of pastiche, but I know it is what it is. Again, I think had this album been the Monkees or something, we wouldn't be looking at it with such reverence. But it's because it's the Beatles, you know, and it's this album. Yeah, I knew this one would be in there. That is a cool album cover. It is. Yeah, you knew this one was going to be in there, right? The Velvet Underground. So yeah, you can't really argue with any of these so far. Tommy the Who, yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a cool album cover. Thelonious Monk, Underground. I always like the fact he has grapes and grenades on his table here. This is a really cool album too. But oh, there's a grenade up on the piano. I never noticed that. Nazi tied up in the background. Yeah, that's an album cover to remember right there. Yeah, this is a great album cover. Great album too. So far, this list is pretty rock solid. No leaks. Steve Miller Band. I don't Sailor. I don't. Oh yeah, I've seen this cover. Okay. I don't know. I don't know that I'm. It's really busy. I don't mind busy, but again, kind of in the pastiche style here. Yeah, I'm not sure I love that album cover. Oh yeah, this is a great album cover. Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Great album too. I mean, listen, I don't have any guilty pleasures. I just like records, and this Breakfast in America is one of the first albums I ever listened to when I was a kid, and this album cover is absolutely iconic. Supertramp is one of those bands too that just don't exist anymore. A band full of great songwriters and musicians, and music with impeccable production, and but just songwriting, songwriting just doesn't exist anymore. It's so hard to find. Bands like Supertramp, or you can love them or hate them, but one thing you can't really argue with was their ability to write good songs. They just had a very unique talent to do that. They were amongst many bands at that time that, the pinnacle of being a great band was being a really great songwriter, and Supertramp did that. This is a good album, no question about it, filled with hits. Yeah, Rise and Fall. I mean, these are really obvious choices, but yeah, it would be nice to maybe I should do one, top 10 album covers that you don't know about, best album covers that you don't know about. I mean, we all know about these. These are just obvious choices. Yeah, of course. But again, like, would the cover of Dark Side of the Moon would we be rating it so high if the album wasn't so good? You know? Of course it's a great cover, but isn't it because the music on that album is so fucking amazing? That's the reason, isn't it? And Dark Side of the Moon is one of those albums. It's like a Beatles album in that, like, I wouldn't trust anyone who said they didn't think Dark Side of the Moon was a great album. It just is. Sometimes things just are. And Dark Side of the Moon is a brilliant album. Yeah. And a very cool cover. There's no question. Yeah. See, looking at this cover now makes me want to go listen to the album. I'm gonna have a drink real quick. Hang on. Yeah, you're not arguing from me. It's a powerful, striking cover, and one that definitely goes with the music. So yeah, it's just the all around packaging you get with Dark Side of the Moon is pretty unrivaled throughout the course of history. It's just one of those albums that You can't deny its power. It's there for eternity. More David Bowie. All right, whatever. Moving on. Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a cool cover. I think it's overrated a little bit. Again, I think it's more of a nod to the music. But I do like the cover because you can see different things in it. Like I think a lot of people see mountains. Some people see waveforms. That's what I've always seen. It's probably just because I've been involved in music, but I see little waveforms when I look at this. I think a lot of people see like a seismograph, and I'm not even, well, let's see, what is that exactly? Peter Saville, of course, he did all the Joy Division New Order stuff. Masterclass in visual minimalism and mystery. It's enigmatic white and black waveform captures embodying the design devoid of the band's name and album title invites interpretation. Yeah, to me that is the most like Dark Side of the Moon before it. I think what works about these album covers is that there's no text. That's not something you get a lot of these days. Album covers with some mystery are always more intriguing. You look at this and it's just, there are no band names, there are no album titles. This would have been a better cover without all the words on it. This is a very striking cover. It's just an image, and you make out of it what you will make out of it. It's more powerful because it's not cramming any ideas down your throat at all, even mentioning the band's name. Of course, many of these records would be sealed with a hype sticker on the front telling people what exactly it was. So you would see that, but once you broke it out of the seal, you wouldn't have to deal with any of that. Nick Drake, Pink Moon, sure. That's a good album. That's a good cover. Yeah, that is a very cool cover. Kind of spooky, kind of weird, kind of sad, kind of like Nick Drake. All those things. Led Zeppelin 3. I don't know that I ever loved this cover. It's all right. I don't think it's a step above into the realm of like Dark Side of the Moon or something. I like minimalism and starkness, so that's just a preference. Great album. Yeah, you can't. I was just thinking of the music on this album. It's a fucking great album, of course. London Symphony Orchestra, Tommy. Yeah, that is a very cool. Like I said, I prefer minimalism, and here it is. No text. Yeah, it's a cool cover for sure. Always been very striking. Yeah, Commodores. That is a really cool. You know what? Well, my dad's got this poster with the autograph. Yeah. It's one of the records that I inherited from my dad. I say inherited. My dad's still alive, by the way, but he passed all of his records down to me, mainly because he just didn't want to deal with them anymore. So I've got all of his albums. This is one that he had. Commodores, great fucking album too. Natural High. This is a really, 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 really good album. Commodores, man. Yeah. Again, like Supertramp, the 70s was a great decade for songwriting. It really was. 70s, it was more bands were experimenting with technology, but they still had that classic like drive to be master songwriters. And the Commodores were one of those bands. I mean, look at Lionel Richie. I mean, the guy knew how to write a song. He maybe he still does. I don't know. I haven't listened to any Lionel Richie in a long time, but some serious songwriting going on. That is a great cover. I feel that one too. This is a cool cover too, Chicago. Not really a Chicago fan, but again, from the 70s, that classic songwriting, musical ability, production. You can hate the music all you want, but when you listen to it, it's impeccably conceived and produced. These are people who know what to do with their instruments and know how to sing and know how to write a song. Again, you can hate these guys, you can hate these guys all you want, but I think it would be foolish to dismiss bands like this because I don't know, they're kind of a relic now. Think about it. What band today could even touch the songwriting ability of bands like Chicago or the Commodores? I don't know of any. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is a rock solid list so far. And this is one of my favorite albums of all time too. The text doesn't bother me too much either, although it would have been kind of cool to see this cover without the text, but really powerful imaging here. Look at this. I mean, you could go so many ways with what's going on. I mean, the cover's kind of busy, but it's also minimalistic all at the same time. But then again, it's the music. Ugh, the music on this album, some of the greatest you'll ever hear in your life. This absolutely is one of the best albums of all time, and one of the best covers of all time for sure. An amazing album. If you've never heard Bitches Brew, do yourself a favor. More Velvet Underground. That is a cool cover. Yeah. Bauhaus, The Sky's Gone Out. Yeah. Again, would have been better without the text here, I think, but yeah, this is a cool cover. Bauhaus. I'm sure people who watch my channel will appreciate this being on the list. Alice Cooper, Raise Your Fist and Yell. I don't know. Let's see what I mean, I don't agree with this. Alice Cooper's Raise Your Fist and Yell album cover features a vivid horror-themed illustration of a fist-crushing face with intense grotesque details. Does it? Is there something grotesque about this? I'm not seeing. Okay, I guess I don't really see it that way. The dripping blood red typography, okay, for Alice Cooper contrasts with the sharp electric blue for the title. The graphic, gritty design reflects the album's rebellious and intense energy. It's a pretty boring write-up. I don't know, that's a dumb cover. No. Ah, there we go. You guys know how I feel about Kraftwerk. I've done my Kraftwerk video. That's a fucking great cover. It's so good. Yeah. Again, would have been kind of interesting with no text, just their faces on the monitor there, but one of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion. Fantastic cover. Yeah, Computer World. Arguably their best album. That's just my opinion, all right? Take it easy. Take it easy. But I think most days I consider Computer World to be their best album. For sure. Numbers, Computer Love. Come on. But every album they did from between Autobahn and this album was absolute brilliance. The two albums they did after this were pretty good too, but yeah, this was kind of their peak right here, I think. The Police, okay. How do you say this? Zenyatta Mandata. You can't say trying to pronounce any Police album title is always a challenge. Zenyatta Mandata. I don't know. Is this really? What do they say? The Police's album cover features a striking gradient of warm war. So they're really diving into the tones and the juxtapositions here. I don't know. I get the color scheme, but I have to disagree with that one. That's a pretty boring ass cover. Metallica, Master of Puppets. Yeah, I mean this one's cheese, but I mean it's a fun cover. I don't know that I put it. I don't know that I'd put it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that one. Yeah, this has always kind of been a cool cut. What happened to Grace Jones? She's still around? Night clubbing? This is a very cool cover. Yeah. I mean, look at this. How often do you see covers like this? It just doesn't really happen. Yeah, Grace Jones was a trip. What was that movie? She was it Vamp? Remember that movie Vamp in the mid 80s? Grace Jones was in. That was actually a really fun movie. It was just like a really campy vampire movie, but it was kind of cool. Vamp. There's a movie I need to watch. Please, fuck off. Yeah, Bjork Post. Again, Bias. That is an interesting cover. I don't know that I'd put it in the best, right? But it's Bjork. We love Bjork, right? I do. This is a fantastic album too. When I think of the best Bjork album, man, but it's a tough one. I love all three of the first of Bjork's first three. I love her first three albums. Sorry, I can't talk today. The first three Bjork albums are all amazing in their own way, but I never got into anything she did with much passion post Homogenic. It was that string of 90s stuff that she did, man. Ah, and the producers too. Like on debut, she had Nelly Hooper. I think he was a big part of why it sounded that way. Here on Post, she brought in like Graham Massey and Howie B. They totally transformed her sound into something amazing. The singles were all great. She brought in amazing remixers like Underworld and Fluke and Howie B and Mark Bell. And speaking of Mark Bell, he came in to produce Homogenic, which arguably is my favorite Bjork album. But yeah, post Homogenic, I don't know. Listen, if you bring in Mark Bell to do production work, I mean, you're going to have an awesome album. And that's why Homogenic is so amazing, in my opinion. It's Mark Bell, man. How do you fail? Bjork knew that. She loved LFO, like I do. Bjork has amazing taste in music. There's no question about it. And this album is excellent. Cover, I don't know. I don't know that I'm that big on the cover. There you go. Nirvana, Nevermind. Yeah, it's a great cover. It is. Very cool cover. Iconic album. We all know that one. Next, Pink Floyd Pulse. Yeah, this is kind of a cool cover. Busy, but not distracting, I guess. Pulse. Yeah. Santana Supernatural. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look at this. Looks like a meme, a bad meme before memes were memes. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're stretching it here. Okay, take out the bias. Let's see. Because, yeah, I am not a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. I know I've seen this album before. I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking at this. I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're stretching it now, guys. Maybe just because I don't know. Maybe because he was such a putz toward the end. I don't know. I don't really like this album. I think this album just kind of represents what Jackson thought of himself. You know, grandiose, bigger than life, big inflated ego. I feel like this cover kind of represents that. Not a fan. Prodigy Invaders Must Die. Yeah, this is a cool cover. Pretty cool album too. I always thought. 2009, really? I thought it came out before that. Wow. Yeah, this is a pretty cool album. Okay. Yeah. That's a good album cover. Liam Howlett's just a great producer, man. He's got this talent for beats and bass. You know, he's like a born beat maker. What's it say? It's a sharp angles and yeah, that's a cool album. Yeah, Animal Collective. I always like this cover too. If you guys can stare at this image, just look at it. Kind of move your eyes a little bit. Do you see what I'm seeing? Things start moving. No, I'm not on anything. I'm not taking any drugs right now. I'm telling you, look at this cover. Have you ever seen this cover? When I first bought this album, I looked at this cover and I was like, oh shit, it's moving. Really good album too. I like Animal Collective. In fact, Panda Bear's got a new album out. I was doing my Juno rounds. I was looking up the new vinyl releases at Juno yesterday, and Panda Bear's got a new album out. I thought his last album was fantastic. So I'm excited to check out the new Panda Bear album. Anyway, yeah, this is a cool cover. Stare at it. Look at that. Pause your screen if you need to and stare at this cover and behold what happens. Animal Collective's Merriweather Post Pavilion album cover features an optical illusion pattern with swirling green and purple ovals, yet creating a sense of motion. It's true. It happens. Again, if this was, if this was any band that wasn't the White Stripes, any band that had half the popularity of the White Stripes, would this be on the list? I doubt it. I don't think so. Next. Okay, yeah, I mean this is like a very classic example of like a very minimalist design having a powerful effect, but it's a cross, you know. I think people obviously it is a very artistic statement. I get it. But as someone who's nonplussed by religion, I'm not saying I'm not interested in religion. I am. But as an atheist and as someone who sees shit like this, I'm just not moved by, the power of the cross. It doesn't really move me. I know people see imagery like this, they get really shook up and emotional about it. I get it. I'm not one of them. It's just a cross. But I know plenty of people are going to look at this cover and be moved by it. But yeah, to me, it's just a random image like any other image. It's just any image though, or any cover that can stir up the kind of emotions that I'm sure it stirs up in a lot of people. You're doing your job well. So this is the epitome of minimalism right here, really. Kind of like Unknown Pleasures, Joy Division. It's in that same realm. Yeah, I always thought this is a cool cover. But again, I like this album a lot. In fact, I think this is Radiohead's arguably their best album. Well, wait. In Rainbows was probably my favorite Radiohead album. Yeah, In Rainbows. Amnesiac would be right there too, but Kid A is right there. Those are the three Radiohead albums that I think are like their peak. But yeah, it's a cool cover. Oh boy. Tyler the Creator, Flower Boy. Yeah, no. Next. Ice Age, Beyondless. Huh. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Ice Age. I've never even heard of the band. Beyondless. Kind of a cool title too. Um, that is a cool cover. Yeah, that's very cool. Who is this? Bold marbled pattern in red, black, and white, creating a chaotic yet mesmerizing texture. The handwritten pink script contrasts sharply with the organic swirls, adding a modern artistic touch. The abstract design reflects the album's raw energy and experimental post-punk aesthetic. Okay, so we know what the music sounds like, I guess. Emphasizing texture and color over conventional imagery. Is it so it's post-punk? Ugh, God, I hate that term. Post-punk. Post-punk. Cool cover though, yeah. I mean, it's making me want to listen to the album. Those are the best kinds of album covers, right? When you look at the album cover and you're like, well, shit, I'm buying this just because of the artwork. I've done that many times. So if I saw this sitting in the record bins at the record store, I might buy it just out of appreciation. I It's the concept of just trying to support art in general. Like someone else thought this was a cool cover and I didn't know I needed this in my life, and now I see the cover and I like it. And by that logic, I will now support it by buying the record. Doesn't at that point it doesn't even really matter if you like the album or not. I would buy this. That's a good cover. Arcade Fire. Yeah, this is a cool cover. I am not a fan of this band at all. Really obnoxious band. Ugh, no thanks. Suburbs album cover features a muted, nostalgic, yeah, whatever. Cool cover, but not a fan of the music. Mogwai. I do like Mogwai, Every Country's Son. Yeah, that's a cool, fuck. That's a really cool cover. Very cool. I know this is like a Rorschach test, but you guys can probably see how my mind works. I'm gravitating toward the kind of the more abstract, darker images here. I like Mogwai a lot. I've seen them live a couple of times. Oh my God. If you guys ever get the chance to see Mogwai live, you should do it. I saw Mogwai live for the first time back in the late 90s. God, when was that? 98, 99, something like that. Man, it was powerful shit. Big sound and really loud. Have any of you ever seen Mogwai live? I don't know that I've ever seen a louder show. It was just like the volume was it was massive. My ears were ringing for days afterwards, man. It was a talk about a wall of sound. There were times where I thought my nose was bleeding. The wall of sound was slapping me against the face so hard. Really cool show. Yeah, Mogwai. Like those guys. Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly. I, I'm not a fan of his music. I don't know. All right, next. Tame Impala Currents. Yeah, I like Tame Impala very much, and this is a very cool cover. I have this album. The cover for their last album, the Soft Rush, right? Soft Rush. Also very cool. I mean, all their covers are cool, but this is really cool. Where is Tame Impala, by the way? Where's the album? I mean, the Soft Rush came out like 5 years ago, right? I remember that came out like right when COVID was starting. I remember like that last Tame Impala album was like my COVID soundtrack. I remember it came out around this time 5 years ago. I remember it very vividly because I was dating somebody at the time and things were not going well between us. And it was around Valentine's Day and it was COVID all at once. And then Tame Impala came out with their new album. It was the soundtrack to a very bizarre time, that album. But excellent album. But very cool cover here on Currents for sure. Dinosaur Jr., give a glimpse of what you're not. Yeah, I agree. This is a very cool cover. Great band. This is a very good album. Love Jay Mash's. I love him. He's just love his personality, love his songwriting, love his guitar playing. Big fan. Very cool album. Very cool cover. I agree. What's it say here? Dinosaur Jr.'s Give a Glimpse of What You're Not album cover features a surreal neon hued landscape with vivid pink and green tones. The drippy psychedelic mountain terrain is contrasted by a lone green figure. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we see that. There's kind of giving you some very surface level commentary here. Yeah, interesting color scheme. Really good album. Lord Melodrama. That is a really cool cover. Yeah, that's cool. I have no clue who Lord is, Lorda, whatever, Melodrama. I have no idea who this is. Never heard of this woman. I mean, I'm assuming Lord is a woman because there's a woman on the cover, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's an all male band. I don't know. No clue. That is a really cool cover. Very cool painting. Let's see. Features a stunning painting with rich blues and purples portraying a woman lying in bed under soft light. Okay, so maybe this is not her. The brushstroke style adds texture. Yeah, that's a really cool picture. Whoever painted that's got some supreme talent. See, now I want to check out the music. I will. I know I have no clue who this is. I'll go check that out. Hockerville River Away. I've heard this band. I got dragged to a show of theirs here in Portland, Oregon, a time ago. I don't remember when that was. I was dating someone. Just like all bands, concerts I've been dragged to against my will, it's always been a woman. Females make us do weird things, right, guys? When I think of all the most embarrassing moments of my life, they were all pretty much female induced. Every silly thing I've ever done in my life has been for the affections of a woman. Boy, they humble our ass, don't they, guys? Women are brutal. We can be so strong and we can stand up and be as manly as we want to be, but the minute we get around a woman that we're attracted to, we turn into quivering little useless puddles of goo. At least I do. Oh my God. The shit I've done for females in my life, I swear to Christ. I've just completely prostrated myself. Ugh, just embarrassing. Yeah. Oh my God. I was just thinking I could I was just thinking of the video that I could do regarding my dating adventures over the years. Oh God, the stupid shit I've done for pussy. Holy shit. But yeah, I guess that's what it is, right? People say it's a man's world. It's not. It's a woman's world, man. It really is. It really is. Women have total control over us. Don't make any mistake about it either. Women run this world. You can delude yourself in thinking that men do. No, they don't. Women will have us under their control until the nuclear holocaust happens. Anyway, boy, where'd that come from? Ockerville River. See, this is the glory of an album cover or a band for me at least. You'll see the name of a band or an album or something that brings back all these haunting memories, and that's what this does. I think of a woman that I was dating when I saw this band live. It brought me back to all those times, all those hoops I jumped through, all those frivolous things that I bought for her, all the money lost, all the time lost, all of my life lost. At the end of the day, that's really what it is, isn't it? Lives lost. All of this psychic jerk off material throughout our lives that we fill up our time with. At the end of the day, it just gets washed away like a weird, bizarre memory, like another dream from another world. It just doesn't mean a damn thing. And we get to the point where we just forget about it all anyway. It just vanishes into the ether. That's what this band does to me. I'm not a fan of this band, but looking at this cover, it's kind of a cool cover. It's really busy. I don't normally like busy covers, but yeah, it's kind of cool. Lots of different ideas going on here. It's kind of a stark, dead terrain, but there's a lot of life around it, kind of giving off the idea that in the face of death, life will flourish. Kind of like Chernobyl is a good example of that. Something interesting that's happened in Chernobyl is humans can't go close to it, but it's become one of the greenest places on the earth because trees and grass and everything else who aren't affected by radiation like we are is proliferating in that area of the world. So it's a beautiful landscape now. So it kind of this cover reminds me of Chernobyl of all things. Whatever. Typography is understated, allowing the vibrant, immersive illustration. Yeah, whatever. All right. Daft Punk. Yeah. That is a cool cover. It's a good album though. I like the album. I like Daft Punk, Daft Punk figured out a way in, didn't they? As someone who was buying this band's records from the very beginning, like when they were putting records out on Soma, it was interesting to watch them blow up into what they become a household name. They basically just kind of they took the imagery that Kraftwerk gave us, and then they made the music that Giorgio Moroder gave us, and then they transformed it into their own thing. They did a really nice job with that. They didn't hide their influences to the point that they have a song called Giorgio Moroder. Like they were very open about their influences, but they had the talent to spin it about their own story and create their own narrative. So yeah, I have massive respect for Daft Punk. I really do. I like their albums. I like their 12 inches. I like Stardust as well. All of their little side projects. Yeah, I'm happy that they accomplished what they did. And then they quit, which is cool. They dropped the mic and they quit. So yeah, it's they're kind of they'll be a legend for a long time, I'm sure. There we go. Oh, so we have little sub. How long have I been going here? You know what? I don't really care. You guys can flip off if you want. I'm enjoying going through this. Let's go through the best album covers of the 80s. I want to see what this is. October 10th, 2023. Let's look. Queen, Hot Space. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't love this album. I love Queen, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Yeah. I always felt like someone peed on Brian May's face here. That's not a good album cover. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. Yeah, Talking Heads Remain in Light. Fucking great album. Very cool cover. The way they flip the A's. This is a great cover. Yeah. One of the best. This is just one of the greatest albums ever, period, across the board. Remain in Light. You guys ask me a lot, like not everybody, but some of you have asked me quite often that, what bands or albums were some of the first albums that I became excited about when I was younger, and this is one of them. Absolutely. Just Talking Heads as a band, period, but this album in particular was huge for me when I was a kid. It opened up the world to me. It was one of those albums, and this cover helped. This is a great album, man. Yeah, everything about it. More David Bowie. Okay. Yeah, I don't agree with this. This is a cool album. In my humble opinion, this is one of David Bowie's best albums. But come on. I don't know about that being one of the best covers. Mekon's Fear and Whiskey. Have I seen this before? I don't know that I've ever seen this cover. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool cover. What, 1985? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, come on. Really? Do people think that's a great cover? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not a huge Elvis Costello fan. I've tried. I kind of like him. Like I think he's funny and his ability to make fun of himself. Like I like Elvis Costello as a person, not that I know him personally, but you know what I mean. Like when I see him in an interview, he seems like a very nice guy, but I'm not a big fan of his music. I never have been. REM Reckoning. Yeah, this is a cool cover. Good album too. I'm a bit of an REM fan. I like REM. They're okay up to a point. I thought all of their albums were interesting to a point up through Monster. I thought Monster was a really good album, but then everything they did after Monster, I just feel like they became less interesting. Just an opinion. Yeah, Sonic Youth's sister. always like this cover. Mainly because I mean, look at Kim Gordon here. How do you not like this cover with this image? Are you serious? Mm, yeah, boy. Hard to not like this cover with that going on. Yeah, Kim Gordon was always a little hottie. I saw these guys live in the early 90s. She was up on stage with a short skirt on. You know, I'm a man. I'm going to admit it. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't take my eyes off her. I don't know that I even remember hearing any of their music. I was just I couldn't take my eyes off of Kim Gordon. By the way, how great are Kim Gordon's solo albums recently? I don't know. I think she's crushing it. Very cool cover though, for in my opinion, very, very obvious reasons right here. But yeah, I mean, all these images are very cool. Not that I would notice because I'm too busy looking at this. Let's move on. Bauhaus. Okay, we already saw that one. Michael Jackson Thriller. Ah, okay, okay. They're not showing the rest of this where he's got his hands on the tiger. Or is that's in the gatefold? Yeah. You open up the gatefold and he's like petting a tiger. His face, he's got a much more concerned look on his face too, and he's when he's next to the tiger. Great fucking album though. I mean, you know, we all know this. It's Thriller. Great album. One of the best. Absolutely. Here we go. Okay. Husker Du, Zenarchy. It's kind of a cool cover, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, not bad. More Elvis Costello. No thanks. More David Bowie. Why don't we just put every David Bowie album in here? Kraftwerk, Pixies, Come On Pilgrim. Yeah, that is a very cool cover. Interesting. Like things going on in this image that are just beyond definition, which is always fun. More talking heads, speaking in tongues. Yeah, that's a cool cover. Yep. Very good album. Very, very good album. Jesus and Mary Chain, Psycho Candy. Okay. They forgot the H here. That's unfortunate. Um, is this a, yeah, I mean, I think this is a combination of really cool cover and really dumb cover. I think if we took the Reed brothers out of here, it would have been better. Minus the Reed brothers, erase them from this image, and you got yourself a really striking cover. Yeah. How many of you knew that Bobby Gillespie was the original drummer for this band? That's right, Bobby Gillespie of Primal Scream. How many of you knew that? It's the truth. Yeah. Pixies Doolittle. Yeah. Talk about this is one of those epic covers in my opinion. Epic covers because of the music. Pixies Doolittle is absolutely one of my all-time favorite albums. This is a fucking beautiful album. Perfect in its way. This album had a huge effect on me in this year, 1989. Just one of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my life. Absolute peak for one of the best rock bands of all time, Doolittle. If you've never heard Doolittle somehow, you need to hear this album. This is a fucking amazing album. Absolutely timeless. Some of the best songwriting and one of the greatest performances from a band you will ever hear in your life. Doolittle. And this is a great cover. Yeah. Everything about this album is absolutely amazing. I agree. This is a stunning cover for a stunning album. Everything came together like magic for this album. Absolutely. The Police Synchronicity. Yeah, you know, this is a really cool album too, man. It's a pretty cool cover too. I've always liked this cover. Yeah. But this is a really good album. I'm not a huge Police fan, but Man, there's some cuts on this album. There's no question. Yeah, this was a band at the peak of their powers, really. And then they promptly broke up. What are you gonna do? What was this guy's name? Andy Summers, right? Gordon, no. Gordon Sumner, Sting, Stuart Copeland, and then was it Andy Summers? I can't remember his name now. I'm drawing a blank. The Sound, Jeopardy, that's interesting. That is a very cool cover and a really good album. Very good album. That is a cool cover for sure. Rudimentary Penny Death Church. Oh yeah. Oh my God, it's been a long time since I saw that. This is a very cool cover. I'm remembering this now. Yeah, it's like Etcher, like it's kind of an Etcher painting, right? But not. It's super dark and well, there's a lot to take in. I could stare at this picture all day, but yeah, it's a very cool cover. Oh, Talk Talk, The Color of Spring. Oddly enough, this is the first Talk Talk album I ever heard. I didn't hear the earlier stuff. I heard the earlier stuff after this. Although I had heard Talk Talk and It's My Life. Of course, you couldn't get away from those two songs. But in album form, this is the first Talk Talk album I ever heard. Really good album. Yeah. And just a nice music wise, it's a nice bridge from what he was doing in the early 80s up until he was doing what he was doing in the late 80s, which was way different. Color Spring, Talk Talk. Yeah. Guys, if you don't know Talk Talk, go check this band out. I mean, they're not around anymore. In fact, the chief songwriter and singer is dead. He's already dead. But the albums after this, particularly, you want to check out Laughing Stock and Spirit of Eden. Really amazing albums. Way, 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 way ahead of their time. I would highly recommend those to anybody. I don't know how easy they are to get. I would think they're probably easily downloaded. I feel like those later Talk Talk albums were. It's funny, like you couldn't give those records away at the time they came out. But then a couple years ago, I saw them up for sale somewhere for like 100 something dollars. I'm like, yep, people have come around. Obviously, they've come around. Oh, come on. I mean, the cover's funny. This is Sammy Hagar era Van Halen, though, man. I don't know. This is one of those instances where I couldn't believe that Van Halen was going to keep calling themselves that after David Lee Roth left. I just thought that was stupid. And then Sammy Hagar, really, really bad replacement, in my opinion. Asia Astra. Isn't this the poster that Steve Carell has on the wall in 40-Year-Old Virgin? Is it another Asia? Like Seth Rogen is like, you framed an Asia poster? Is this the album? Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. I don't know. Like as someone who loves like kooky sci-fi shit like that, it's kind of cool, I guess. I'm just thinking of the music. God, the music's so bad. Yeah, it's a cool cover though. Oh, Tom Waits. I have thought about doing a Tom Waits video many, many times. I just don't know how my audience would take it, but I guess I don't care. Tom Waits is one of my favorite artists. Love this guy. Love him. I really should do a video on him. Heart Attack and Vine. I mean, yeah, I love Tom Waits. I just don't think he can do anything bad. I'm very biased. He's got great album covers. I think the cover for Bone Machine is much more interesting, but that was in the 90s. So, yeah, it's a cool, great album. Yeah, this is a really cool cover. Good album, too. Don was or was not was. Toto turned back. Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. I'll never forget back in the 90s, a friend of mine and I we used to travel up and down the West Coast to sell records. We both worked in the record industry and we would get a lot of promos and shit and we would sell records that we weren't supposed to be selling, like our promos. And I remember I had something from Toto and this guy came up and he was really excited and I had something he didn't have. And he said, "Man, I've been looking for this, but I didn't know it existed. And thank you so much." And he goes, "If you have anything else, here's my card. Give me a call." And he gave me a card, a business card. It had his name on it, and it said his name, collector of Toto. He had a business card as a collector of Toto. My friend and I shared a good chuckle after that. I mean, this guy was fucking serious about his Toto. He had a business card based on collecting Toto. I would think with, websites like Discogs, he's been able to collect every every little thing that they ever put out. But this as a cover, I don't know about that. Testament, the New Order. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the skull face. It's kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's all right. Tatsuro Yamashita, come along. Really? I mean, yeah, it's interesting, I guess. Yeah. These little dots here. What is that? Yeah, it's one of those covers that's like blatantly obvious and kind of mysterious all at once. Yeah, it's kind of growing on me. I didn't know what to think of it in the first second I saw it, but now I'm kind of like, okay, yeah. What do they say here? One of the best album covers of the 80s come along by a pop art. Yeah. The bold, oversized typography and bright, flat colors contribute to the dynamic, optimistic feel. Yeah. It is kind of like a juxtaposition. Yeah, it is. That's a cool cover. Yeah, it really is. I've never heard this album. So, okay, I need to check this out. More Supertramp. Famous last words. Yeah, I've never really looked at this cover with much detail. It's funny. I like Supertramp, I appreciate really excellent songwriters, and I've always felt like that's what these guys were. Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July. I mean, I don't know. I love Stevie Wonder, but is this one of the greatest covers? I mean, I don't know. It's okay, sure. Roki, is it Roki? Rocky? Roki Erickson, the aliens. I walk with a zombie. Okay, I don't know what this is. Huh. That's a really obnoxious cover. Sorry. I don't. Yeah, these types of covers that are just kind of an explosion of colors, I don't know. They kind of. I've never appreciated this type of shit, I guess. It just looks like someone vomited on a canvas. But I understand its artistic value. Yeah, this cover, this started off that whole thing in the 80s. Like those of you who weren't alive in the 80s, you won't know this, but in the 80s there was this whole thing that happened after this. Like people had these like bleached out caricatures of women with bright red lips. Like it started this whole trend where people would get these framed pictures of these types of women and put it on their walls. It was like a whole thing. It was only in the 80s. The 80s was a weird decade, man. Those of you who weren't alive during the 80s, it's impossible to describe, but the 80s was it was just this weird mixture of some of the best and worst art of all time. It all happened in the 80s. You had some of the best bands and some of the worst bands. It was just a very bizarre, extreme time. And that's why I like going through this list from the 80s. The Infected. I always like Matt Johnson, kind of like I mean I respect his music, or I respect him more than I respect his music, I guess, kind of like Elvis Costello in that way. Never been a big fan of his music, but I like him. But this is a cool cover for sure. Never been a fan of the though. All right, we already went over that one. Yeah, this is a cool cover. Peter Gabriel knew how to make a fucking album cover, no question about it. All of his album covers are really cool. This one's arguably his best. The cover for the Security album, the album came after this, is really good. And the ones he did in the seven, I mean, it's Peter Gabriel. He puts a lot of thought into everything he does. I'm a Peter Gabriel fan. I really am. He's one of the first artists kind of up there with Talking Heads and Devo amongst bands I kind of found on my own in the early 80s that I became obsessed with. Like Peter Gabriel would be in there for sure. Love me some Peter Gabriel. Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. The fact that all the demons are kind of smiling, it gives it a kind of a hokey, clownish. I think they're trying to be badass here, but it just doesn't. When they're kind of smiling, this looks too comic booky to me. If they're looking to be scary, they could have done a better job. But this is kind of cool, I guess. There's that one again. Martin Briley, Fear of the Unknown. Wow, that's a very cool cover. No clue. I've never heard of this. Martin Briley. Eerie deserted room with a picture of Briley himself within a frame, hinting at introspection of confinement. That's a cool cover. See, now I need to go check this out. I've never heard of this guy. Who's Martin Briley? I'm embarrassed. I feel like someone's going to be like, "You don't know Martin Briley? What the fuck?" But I have no idea. I'm going to go find out. That's a cool cover, man. Yeah, very cool. Dig that cover. Oh, please. Fuck off. Next. Yeah, we already did that one. More Metallica, Ride the Lightning. I don't know. It's all right. I remember this. Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night. It's a striking cover. I don't like the music, but it's a striking cover. I remember my parents had this record. My parents were huge Fleetwood Mac fans. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. It's different. Dukes of the Stratosphere, Sonic Sunspot. I don't know, man. I've never heard of it, so I don't know what the music sounds like. The cover is so hokey that I might buy it just to hear what the music's like. See, now I'm definitely keenly interested to hear what the music's like. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite albums. Great fucking album. One of the best. I think I've already said this before, but those of you who watch my channel and you love Queer by Wolfgang Press and you've never heard this album, you should go listen to this album. I think Wolfgang Press's Queer is a direct correlation to this album. They're related. They're spiritual brethren. You should check it out. This is a gorgeous record. I think most people have heard this. Really cool cover. One of the greatest hip hop albums of all time, without a doubt. I can't imagine many people would argue this. Beautiful album. Crimson Glory, Transcend. uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny. It's all right. I mean, I would think this is metal, right? This has got to be metal. I mean, I'm all for beautiful naked women on album covers. That's cool. I'd have to hear this music. Again, I would think this would have to be metal music, right? Hair metal. Candlemass Nightfall. Never heard of it. Wow, that is a very interesting cover. Yeah. Huh. Wow, yeah. Striking cover. Yeah, that's very cool. Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna go check this out. It's getting really dark. I'm gonna click off right now. I think I've been going for a good hour. It's probably enough already. Beastie Boys License to Ill. Yeah, great cover. They're not showing the other end of this where the plane is flying into the wall. Yeah, there's a lot more to that cover. I'll do a few more here and get out of here. More Asia. Yeah, I don't know. The other cover was better for sure. I don't know, man. This cover's pretty awful. I would put this in the worst covers, but that's yeah, busy in all the wrong ways, I think. Yeah, great cover. If you guys have this original uh, US vinyl, it was a quad fold. It folded out like gatefolds fold out once. This one folded out and folded out. It basically has four panels on the inside. It was a massive physical release. Very cool cover. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Tugging on my heartstrings. Absolutely. In my opinion, one of the best albums of the 90s. New Order's best album without a doubt, and a great cover. Beautiful cover. All of the covers to their 12 inches from this album were really good too, but brilliant cover, brilliant album, brilliant music. 1989, the same year that Pixies Doolittle came out, and I feel very much the same way in terms of album covers matching the brilliance of the music. Absolutely one of my favorite albums. And in my opinion, absolutely New Order's best album, Technique. I think that's a good place to end. I'm going to end on New Order Technique. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for putting up with me and continuing to support me and my channel. Have a good night, y'all. Later.